Welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm Garrison Kingston here with my co-host Jonah Jenkins, and today we'll be reviewing the 2024 men's varsity basketball teams.
So today we'll just be going over rankings on where we think people will be placed, because there's 6 teams who we think will take the top seed all the way to 6. We'll be going in more depth of players' performances in later videos, and it will continue on throughout the season, depending on weeks, how players perform, who's doing bad, who's doing good, who's on a hot streak, and etc. So make sure you stay updated every week to get the latest info. So today then, a lot of people talk about where we think teams will end up being based off who they picked. And so me and Garrison being first-round picks in the league, then as when you're ranking teams, you never put yourself last. And me and him have always been competitive, so we always put our teams first. So I'm just going to start. It's just full disclosure. I think my team's going to get top seed. He thinks his team's going to get top seed, and that's fair enough. So I think my team, and I'll give a case. He can talk for after, and we'll go through everything. I think my team gets top seed because we are a bigger team. We have 3 playmakers on our team that know and understand basketball. And we also have the height with some of our taller picks like Joey and Josh to help provide the defensive presence that we need to be able to win games, along with the offense that we need to be able to win games. And so with me and Garrett and Lucas and even Josh working together, the spacing will be good, the ball movement will be good, and I think teams are going to have a hard time guarding us and scoring on us just because we try really hard. The defensive presence is there. That's why I think my team will take top. I'll let you talk.
So, you think that you guys have a stronger defense?
Yeah.
Do you think that you guys' offense is stronger than my team's?
And that's one thing when you're looking at it. I mean, you have the best offensive player in the league right here, but if a defense can hold an offense to a certain amount of points, then my offense doesn't have to be better, as long as my defense can hold your offense to be the same as mine, and your defense has to do the same as well for my team.
Okay, so
So to answer
you
your
have
question, yeah, no.
you have Garrett, you have yourself, you have Lucas.
Yeah.
So you and Lucas played together last year. Obviously, you went pretty far. You got to the championship.
Yep.
Lost to my team.
Yes, this is true.
So you decided to run it back with Lucas.
Mhm.
You think that it's going to be different this time?
I believe that, yes.
Because of Lucas or because of the different players that you've added this year?
The variety of players and the fact that Lucas will not be a second option this year. He won't need to have to try to force his way into scoring. He will just have to take his pick of shots. He won't have to take as many shots that are forced.
Okay, so Garrett is your second option?
Yes.
All right. How I didn't really look. How's Garrett's production been last couple seasons?
I've never played with Garrett
Offensively.
on my team, and he understands the game really well, and I'm looking forward to playing with him. It will be, if we don't succeed, it will be really fun.
Okay, so I'm not a captain this year. For those of you who don't know, I got drafted to Ortel's team. So it looks like me and you are going to be the first options on our teams.
Yes.
Okay. We were the top 2 vote getters for MVP last year.
Yeah.
We all know how
Yeah.
that turned out.
Yeah. Way to rub it in.
But I'm sure you were close in the voting. They don't release the voting. I actually think that would be cool if they did release the voting. I don't think anybody should feel bad about not winning, or I don't know. You can probably feel bad about not winning, but you shouldn't be mad that they released the votes, because if you're a finalist, then that already means you're a great player, you know?
Yep.
So if you're a finalist for MVP, why would you be mad if they released the votes?
Yeah.
There's no reason to be mad about it, because I was top 3, so what are you mad about? So that would actually be really cool if they would start releasing the votes. And they wouldn't even have to release it like this person voted for this person, but just more like this person got this many first place, this many second place, and this many third place votes, and just have the total at the end or whatever. But anyway, so back to our teams. So me and you probably would be the favorites for the MVP to start the year off again.
Well, I will tell you, Troy will do better this year. He's been playing basketball outside of the league, because he did not perform as well as he should have last year. So he will do better this year, and if we don't be careful, he's going to give us a run for our money.
Okay, so yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah, I look forward to a good challenge.
But to start it off, you see like your Vegas odds and all that. Me and you, we're at the top.
Yeah.
Probably far and away, like, we're way ahead of everybody else, I would assume. Like, if somebody was to go through and put odds on it all right now, I would assume me and you will kind of be in our own bracket at the top, and then there will be a few more down below us. And that's just based off of last year, assuming both of us are healthy, and that's just how I think it would go. So we'll both be the first options on our teams, obviously, offensively. Yep. And then you look at our second options, and we probably have the two oldest people in the league.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So we have James. You guys have Garrett. Still
playing great, though. They both play great.
I'm looking at the teams. I don't think there's anybody that's playing that's older than them. I don't know how old Patrick is.
Patrick's not older than Garrett or James.
Okay. So James has got to be the oldest, right? James is like 40 years old. I don't think Garrett's 40 yet.
He's the big 4-0.
So I think he'll be turning 40 in the season this year. I think James brings more offensively, and honestly, I think defensively, James brings more scoring. And if you look at the numbers last year, Garrett and James, I think, led the league in assists. They were the top two, but James ended up with more points per game. I think probably more rebounds per game. I don't know as far as steals and things. So I know I've played with James before, and he's asked me, hey, can I guard Danny? I want to guard Danny. Or, hey, I want to be on Jonah. And so he takes the challenge and he seeks out the bigger guys that he knows he's not as big, but he's smarter than some of the big guys, where he knows, like, okay, if he puts the ball down right here, I can swipe at it and take it away from him. And so he seeks out that challenge defensively. I don't know on Garrett if he does that, or if he's kind of... I think James is probably a little bigger than Garrett, so he probably can do it easier.
He is, for sure.
So, I like the edge that James brings. I think there's a slight edge over Garrett. But then you ended up with Lucas. And there's argument to be made that Lucas is the best third option in the league, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
And so it goes kind of back and forth with our teams. I think my team is... what we try to do is fill our team with a bunch of 3 and D, like, where I can just drive and kick. And obviously, I can shoot too. Everybody probably knows that. But, we try to just get guys around me where I could just drive and kick it out, and hopefully they knock down their open shots. I think if my guys are hitting their open shots, I don't think there's any team that's going to
stop us. If you're hitting shots, then no team stands a chance against any other team.
But I also think my team has the potential to be knocking down shots more than any other team.
Okay. All right.
And you sound like you don't agree with that.
I don't. So but let's get through let's get through all the other teams. Okay. So here's my opinion. Mason's team poses the biggest threat as far as shooting. They will have the most space on the court because Cade creates some space. He actually shot pretty good from 3 last year. And it didn't, in the games watching, it didn't feel like it. But you look at his numbers, he shot good from 3 last year. My brother Abel can shoot really good from 3. Troy shoots really good from 3. And Mason shoots really good from 3. So those 4 guys will space the floor really well for that team. As far as shooting, I think they are the biggest threat as far as shooting. Okay, and there's other factors that come into play.
You said Mason, Abel, Troy and Cade.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all shoot 30+. They all usually shoot 30+%. Some people had a rough year last year, but they all shoot 30+% from 3, which is good in our league. Mm-hmm. So that team will can straight up shoot teams out of the game, and there's nothing you can do because the spacing's there. You just hope they miss. They're gonna live and die by the 3.
But they have a 5th guy somewhere. Who's that 5th guy?
That 5th guy will probably be a big. It'll probably be Peter, or James O'Brien is surprisingly long, but I bet they start Peter for a bigger guy because their team is smaller. That's where they can lose games. If they shoot good, it's gonna be hard to beat those kids. But if you can get more rebounds, you get more shot attempts, so that it will balance itself out.
So you mentioned 4 guys.
Yeah.
So what if I counter your 4 with myself, James, Phil, and Dallas?
Okay, who would you rather have shooting a 3, Dallas or Phil? Dallas or Mason? Mason every single time. Not even a question. That's Mason's specialty.
Okay.
Every single time.
So that's one player.
Okay, now, Abel or who'd you say? Phil? Abel or Phil?
I would take Phil.
Not a snowball's chance in age. There's no way. Okay, you can take Phil. I will take Abel every time over Phil. Shooting a 3.
I wish I had the stats in front of me so we could check last year. Abel.
We'll go over that next time.
I know Phil did struggle last year, so Abel could very well have shot better, but I will take Phil over Abel shooting a 3.
Okay.
And then what? James versus Cade.
James, I mean, and that's where it will depend. I mean, there's going to be different things, but if you guys are out on the perimeter and you have a 3, everyone's going to rotate to you. You pass it to James, rotate into him. If it goes to Phil or Dallas, you're like, it's not that big of a deal as long as James or Garris is not chucking it. On the other team, it's like, who do I have shoot one? Abel, Mason, or Troy? Like,
the same thing can be said. I mean, you say if Phil shoots,
Yeah.
If Abel shoots,
I mean, you say that until the kid shoots lights out. I haven't seen Phil shoot lights out. He's had games where he's shot really good, but for the most part, it's a struggle. So
okay.
Going to other teams, you clearly think your team's gonna be the best, right? I don't know. Everybody better think their team's doing the best, or something's wrong, you know.
Yep.
So let me rank these teams for you, and you can do your rankings after. So my team first, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna bet Mason's team is second, and we'll look back at this after the season's over. I bet your team is third.
Okay.
Number 4, I think goes to Ashton. I think Zach with Pick and Ren, he's 50%, and I hope he doesn't get hurt, but I bet his knee's gonna give him issues, especially since he's gonna have to play really hard for that team to win. But when they have their team, that team is gonna be tough to beat. But they're only gonna have most of their guys for 50-70% of the games. So if they lose one of those games, if it's 50%, he's going to have to be able to pull out another win. So I would put Ashton's team at number 4. Then I would put Zach's team and Dylan's team with not making playoffs. That's how I have it.
Okay, and so going into playoffs, so at that point in matchups, Jonah versus Ashton and Mason versus Sortel. It's single elimination this year for all of you guys who didn't know that.
That's right.
So our first round matchups, Jonah versus Ashton. Who do you have?
Me? Of course I think I'm going to win that game.
Okay.
If I go into a game thinking I'm going to lose, what am I doing as a captain?
And Mason versus Sortel.
Mason versus Sortel. That would be a fun game to watch. If I was to put money on it, and if both teams are healthy, I would bet money on your team.
Okay, so you think the 3 upsets the 2, and then it's me and you, or me and or Tell and you. I'm not the captain.
Yeah.
Goes to the championship for one final game, and obviously you're going to take yourself.
Obviously, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so Jonah's the champion, Ortel is the runner-up.
No, we're doing just seeding. We're not talking about playoffs. We're just doing seeding for regular season. The playoffs, we'll do a video for the playoffs when the regular season's over because we get an all-star break.
But just start of the season.
Yeah.
All right. You're thinking Jonah wins the championship
Yes.
with Ortel being the runner-up.
Yes.
Mason and Ashton make the playoffs, but get eliminated early,
Mm-hmm.
and Dylan and Zach miss the playoffs.
That's how I have it. Yes.
Okay. So we'll go over to mine. Obviously, I'm going to pick myself.
Yeah.
Going number 1. Going number 2, I have... It's kind of hard for me. So, Ren is at 50%. I don't know that Zach loses a game without Ren, or with Ren there. With Ren and Jared, that team is... And Ben Scott. Like, you throw Ben Scott and Jared down low, and then now you have Ren playing up top. And this is if they do a zone, but now Ren's playing up top. He's guarding somebody up top because you already have bigs down low that can handle it. How is anybody going to score around the hoop against that team? You're going to have to take Jared or Ben one-on-one, and obviously you're going to get yours.
Well, it'll be their team's going to struggle as far as they don't have the spacing that they need for all their guys to operate. Their team will grind out games, and when it comes down to them, if you shoot well, then it's your night. You're probably gonna win. If you're not, that's too bad. But if both teams aren't shooting well and you're playing Zach's team, you just have to try harder. You have to grind it out. That's how it's gonna be for them.
I think Zach can actually blow some teams out. Ren, obviously, he has his knee problems this year. He's gonna sit out every other game, is what it sounds like, to hopefully keep himself healthy throughout the playoffs. But I think, are we forgetting that Ren was an MVP and an MVP finalist for years before he sat out last year?
No, and that's the thing. He signed up for 50%, so we're saying Zach wins those 4 games that he plays.
Mm-hmm.
But
and so that's why it's hard.
There's a chance he loses one of those.
There's a chance he wins without Ren, though, too.
Yeah, but based on seeing the other teams, I don't think he wins if Ren doesn't show up.
Yeah, and his matchup, he might just have to get a good matchup. Obviously, the schedule's going to be a little different this year.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's hard. I don't want to put Zach at 2. I actually think Dylan and Zach both get a playoff spot. So, Dylan's team, the problem I have with Dylan's team is that they have a lack of leadership on their team. So it's going to be so they're not going to know what to do if a team comes out and just starts knocking shots down. They're not going to know what hit them. And they have nobody there that can, like, group the team together and be like, okay, guys, here's what's going on. Like, I don't feel like they have anybody who can coach their guys through a game, you know? And you don't have a coach on the sideline that can help out with that. And so, their best shot is Brady, but he's going to be invested in the game. I don't think he's going to go out and be able to find out what's going wrong and tell his team how they can fix it. But he does have a lot of strong role players, and so he might be able to pick up some wins with that. With Mason's team, it's all going to come down to if their shooters are actually shooting.
They're going to live and die by the 3.
They will. And the same thing could be said for my team, but I think we have a little bit more inside game than what they do.
You and James are very versatile as far as the whole game goes, which benefits your team a lot.
Yeah, so that's the thing is you look at Abel, Jake Jr., James O'Brien, Mason. It's all. When do you ever see those guys in the paint? Ever.
Yeah.
They're never in there. It's all threes, and so if they aren't hitting, so I guess the question is, are they going to hit enough to be able to make the playoffs?
Based off of
they have
stats.
to be on. They have to be on for probably 4 games to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and based off of stats from last year, it's going to be close. But those guys will do better this year because they're all on the same team. Stats won't back it up, but I feel like that team will just straight up outshoot teams, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it will happen this season. It might be 1 game, it might be 3 games. There will be a game where you're just like, I don't know what they're supposed to do against this team that's just making everything.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to how many times can they do that. Because other than that, they have very, very little inside game.
Yeah.
Troy's a smart player, but he's smaller than anybody who's going to be down low. He's going to be meeting some big dudes compared to him down low.
Yeah.
And so it's going to come down to how Troy can handle that, being around big guys, and I know he's handled it well in the past. It's also going to come down to what Peter and Cade can do in the down low. And Peter's not really going to create for himself. He's going to have Troy doing it for him. So Peter's going to have to probably pick up a little. He's going to have to learn some moves, I think, for them to have any game down low at all, other than a wide open layup.
Well, I would even maybe you could do Vegas odds on this, but over and under, I bet their 2-point attempts this year will be really close to their 3-point attempts. They'll shoot maybe give or take 20, 30 more 2s than 3s as a team, or it'll be even closer than that. I don't think it's farther than 30.
I think that their 3s will be way, way higher than their 2s.
Way higher?
Way higher.
I think it's still close because when you're hitting 3s and it opens up more stuff inside, and they do have a couple guys that when they get the ball, they'll end up taking probably wide open shots like Cade. Maybe it'll be Peter under the basket. Maybe it'll be Abel at the free throw line. Mason likes to take that jumper inside a little bit when they overplay. So it'll be a lot of that once they start hitting. But they're going to be taking a lot of 3s this year.
Yeah, and I can't see Abel other than maybe a fast break or wide open lane going inside. Jake isn't going to. James O'Brien won't. Mason won't. I think. And then Troy, he's like half outside the 3, half inside. And so unless Cade and Peter are chucking layups all game, I think their 3s are going to be way higher than their 2s. And then we get to your team. The rankings, it's going to be tough this year.
No, so who do you think is taking spot number 2?
Myself or Ortel's team is going to be in the 1.
So who's number 2?
And number 2 is going to be Zach.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to put. These bottom 4 are a lot closer than people were probably thinking. I will put Mason in the 3.
Okay.
Just based off of, I think Troy might be able to carry him into the playoffs. Maybe. He's been a winner for a long time, and so I'll put him in the 3.
Okay.
I will put you in the 4.
I appreciate that.
Ashton and Dylan probably just missed the cut for me. Ashton's the same way as Dylan, where he's just got a bunch of young, he has Ryan and Charles and Austin. Other than that, it's a bunch of kids who are under 20 years old. Like kids that just barely got into varsity. Like Terrence, 2nd year. Brayson, 3rd year.
3rd year.
Kale, 2nd year.
No, it's his 3rd year.
Is this his 3rd? Are you sure?
Yeah, because he played on Brady's team, and then their team was the worst.
Okay,
and then he
that's
played on our
right.
team.
And then Ashton, 3rd year. And so these guys are super young. They have the same problem with their leadership, I think. I mean, we'll see what Ryan can do. I think Ryan's going to have to, be really involved with that team just to... Because there's only so many shots that can go around, and all these guys, they all want the ball.
Yeah.
So unless they can understand how to help each other out, it's going to be just a whole lot of one-on-one, I think. And so I guess we'll see if that works. I don't see it working, but we'll see. And then going into the playoffs, I think Zach actually can knock off Mason's team, especially because Ren is planning on playing the whole playoffs, as far as I know.
Yeah, he is.
And then I'm obviously going to put myself over you, and then I'll put myself over Zach. And so I have me, Zach so Ortel is the champion, Zach is the runner-up, and then you and Mason also make the playoffs. Ashton and Dylan are out.
So Ashton and Dylan. So who do you think's the number 6 out of Ashton and Dylan, though?
I'm going to say Ashton.
Okay, now let's go through how many wins do you think Ashton gets on the season if you're only playing 8 games? Is it 2?
That's what I'm thinking, too. And
2?
I think, this is honestly, these teams that barely squeak in the playoffs, it's going to be 4 wins maybe. So what I think is going to happen is one team is going to dominate, one team is going to play really bad, and because it usually happens every year. Everybody else is going to be within a game of each other, and someone's just going to get unlucky and miss the playoffs. And so,
someone's going to get unlucky with the scheduling. That's what's going to happen.
That's as soon as the schedule comes out, we can go through and actually decide what records are going to be.
Yeah.
But until then, I might play you twice. I might play Zach twice. I might play Mason twice. But then, I might play all you guys once. And so it's you have to wait and see what the schedule is going to be before we can actually give a real, who we think is the top 4 teams. On paper, we can say, but until you see the schedule, you don't know how many games people are going to win.
Mm-hmm. And that's if Zach's team ends up playing Troy's team twice, and Ren and Jared, and everyone's good for both of those games, Zach has
pick up a couple wins.
Zach has a higher chance of winning those games because his team's so tall.
Yeah, and I agree with that. So it's going to come down to the schedule. But yeah, so that's what we have for the start of the season. Good luck to everybody. And
if you don't agree with us, let us know in the comments. Post how you think things would work out, who would be the top and the worst team, and why. We'll post the teams below, and we'll see what you guys think about it.
Yeah, give us feedback. We like going through the comments and seeing what you guys have to say. So if you guys don't agree with what we have, or you do agree, let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.